Gentlemen, there's nothing more draining than investing your time, your energy, and your love into a woman who doesn't value you. A woman who doesn't see your worth will never truly appreciate your presence, no matter how much you give. So today, let's uncover 5 core behaviors that reveal when a woman doesn't value you. She disrespects your time, and that's not just about being late. It's about the pattern, those little moments that quietly reveal how low you are on her list of priorities. Maybe she tells you she'll call you back in 10 minutes, and you don't hear from her for 3 days. Maybe she makes plans with you, and then at the last second, she cancels because something came up. And when you ask what happened, she gives you a vague excuse or flips it back on you, saying you're being dramatic or too sensitive. That's not forgetfulness, that's not a mistake, that's a lack of respect. Because when someone values you, they don't leave you hanging. They don't treat your time like it's optional or like it doesn't matter. A woman who disrespects your time is showing you, in action, that she doesn't truly consider the weight of your presence. She assumes you'll always be there, always available, always willing to wait. And the more you tolerate it, the more she pushes. At first, it's 5 minutes late. Then it's 20. Then she doesn't show up at all. She tests your limits, slowly, to see just how much you're willing to accept. And the sad truth is, most men overlook it. They rationalize it. She's just busy. She's going through a lot. Maybe I'm overthinking, but you're not. You're not crazy. You're noticing what your soul is trying to tell you. She doesn't prioritize you because she doesn't see you as essential. Time is one of the most valuable things you can give a person. It's something you can never get back. And when a woman takes that for granted, she's telling you everything about how she sees your worth. She sees you as replaceable, as someone who will tolerate inconsistency, as someone who will continue to give without demanding anything in return. And let me tell you something. When a woman values you, she respects your time like she respects your presence. She shows up. She follows through. She doesn't leave you in a state of doubt or confusion. She makes you feel like you matter, not just when it's convenient for her, but because she genuinely sees you as a man of value. If she's always pushing things off, if she's always unavailable, if she replies when she feels like it and expects you to be okay with it, then you're not dealing with a woman who values you. You're dealing with a woman who is using you. Maybe not financially, maybe not physically, but emotionally, she's using your attention, your energy, your presence as a safety net, and you have to decide when enough is enough. Because the longer you allow it, the more deeply you train her to believe that you don't even value your own time. And once a woman sees that you don't protect your time, she'll assume you won't protect your heart, your standards, or your self-respect either. She rarely initiates contact. That might seem like a small thing on the surface, but it speaks volumes about where you stand in her world. Look at the pattern, not the isolated moment. If you're always the one reaching out first, if the conversation only exists because you breathed life into it, then you're chasing, not connecting. It's not just about who sends the first text. It's about emotional investment. A woman who never initiates, never checks in on you, never asks how your day was, is silently telling you that her interest is minimal, or worse, she's emotionally detached altogether. People make time and effort for what matters to them. If she wanted to talk to you, she would. If she missed you, she would say it. If she thought about you during the day, you'd feel it. You wouldn't be left in this constant guessing game, wondering if today will be different. And maybe when you finally do reach out, she responds, but not with warmth, not with curiosity, not with intention. You get the bare minimum, Dry replies, delayed messages, vague excuses like sorry, been busy, or no response at all. You're left staring at your phone, overthinking, replaying every word you sent to see if you said something wrong, when the reality is that you're investing your emotional energy into someone who isn't meeting you halfway. She's not nurturing the bond, she's not building the bridge, she's simply receiving your attention and giving you crumbs in return. And here's the hardest pill to swallow: people prioritize what's important to them. Always. If she's not making time for you, it means she doesn't see you as a priority. Her actions are screaming a truth that your heart might not want to hear. You care more than she does, and this pattern will slowly wear down your confidence. You start to wonder, am I too much? Am I coming on too strong? Should I pull back? But the truth is, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. A woman who values you will want to hear from you. She'll look forward to your messages. She'll initiate because she wants to connect. Not just when she's bored or lonely, but because she genuinely enjoys your presence. When a woman rarely initiates contact, she's showing that the connection is one-sided, and any man who continues to pursue that kind of dynamic is setting himself up for emotional starvation. You deserve more than just being someone's backup plan or momentary distraction. You deserve to be chosen daily without having to beg for it. She doesn't respect your boundaries. That may not always show up in loud, obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the sarcastic remark when you set a limit. It's the eye roll when you express something that bothers you. It's the way she crosses the line again and again, not because she doesn't understand, but because she doesn't care. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They're a man's way of saying, this is where I stand, this is what I will accept, and this is what I won't. And when a woman disregards that, when she constantly tests you, pushes past your no, or laughs off your standards as too serious or too controlling, you're not in a relationship built on mutual respect. You're in a dynamic where your values are negotiable to her. And the moment you start bending those boundaries just to keep the peace, you start losing parts of yourself. It starts with small things. Maybe you tell her you need space to work, and she keeps texting you guilt, tripping you for not replying fast enough. Maybe you say you're not comfortable with a certain behavior, and she brushes it off, saying, relax, it's not that deep. Or maybe you make a clear decision, and she constantly tries to override it, manipulate it, or argue until you give in. That's not communication, that's control. When she doesn't respect your boundaries, she's treating your needs as optional. And that sends a clear message. Her comfort matters more than your principles. Over time, this eats away at your sense of authority, your peace, and your identity. You start second, guessing your gut. You start accommodating behavior that goes against your own values, and eventually you forget where your lines even were. A woman who respects you will respect your no. She won't mock your standards, she'll meet them. She won't guilt you for holding the line, she'll admire you for it, because real respect isn't just about liking someone, it's about honoring their boundaries even when it's inconvenient. If she constantly ignores yours, it means she doesn't see them as real. And if she doesn't see your boundaries as real, then she doesn't see you as real. At least not in the way that matters. She only comes around when she needs something. At first, it might feel flattering. She reaches out to you when she's stressed, upset, or going through something. She vents to you, cries to you, and leans on you. And maybe in those moments you feel important, needed, like you're finally being let in emotionally. But pay attention, because when the crisis passes, so does her presence. She disappears again, goes silent, doesn't ask about your life, your struggles, your needs. She uses you like an emotional convenience store. Quick in, quick out, just enough to get what she wants and move on. She treats your support like a transaction, not a connection. Over time, you begin to realize a pattern. You only hear from her when she's sad, when she's bored, when something's gone wrong with another guy, when she needs attention or validation. But when you need her, when you feel low, when you feel overwhelmed, when you just want to talk, she's nowhere. Your messages are ignored. Your calls are missed. Your presence becomes invisible the moment her emotional storm clears. And that's the trap, because deep down you keep holding onto those brief moments where she seemed vulnerable, thinking maybe they meant something real, but those moments weren't about you. They were about what you could give her in that moment: comfort, reassurance, distraction. This kind of behavior is emotional vampirism. She drains your energy, your empathy, your time, but gives nothing back. You become her safety net, her backup plan, her temporary therapist, and it never evolves. No growth, no depth, no reciprocity, just you, always giving, and her, always taking. She might even disguise it under the label of friendship or a complicated situation. But no matter what it's called, the outcome is the same. She's using you to fill her emotional voids, not to build a genuine bond. And what's dangerous about this is that it can go on for months or even years, because the illusion of connection feels real in the moment. But it's not real. It's selective, it's situational, and it's selfish. You'll start noticing that when things are good in her life, when she's happy, when her dating life is going well, when she has new friends or excitement, she forgets you exist. She doesn't check in, she doesn't care, but the moment something falls apart again, here she comes, needing your advice, your comfort, your time. And each time you answer that call, each time you respond, you reinforce the cycle. You teach her that your presence is unconditional, even when her presence is highly conditional. You teach her that you're always available, regardless of how poorly she reciprocates, and eventually you become emotionally exhausted, wondering why you feel so empty after every interaction with her. It's because she's not building anything with you. She's extracting, and she'll keep extracting until there's nothing left. She compares you to other men. It starts small, maybe a harmless comment here or there. Something like, "My ex used to surprise me with flowers," or "That guy at work is always so driven." At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but then it becomes a pattern: constant comparisons, subtle digs, passive-aggressive remarks that leave you feeling inadequate. You're suddenly being measured against ghosts from her past and strangers she barely knows. And no matter what you do, it never seems to be enough. There's always someone else doing it better, someone more successful, more romantic, more spontaneous, more something. This isn't inspiration, it's sabotage, because a woman who truly values you doesn't need to tear you down to make a point. She doesn't need to bring up other men to trigger your insecurities. But when she constantly compares you, she's manipulating your emotional state. She's planting seeds of doubt, seeds that make you question whether you're good enough, whether you're desirable, whether you're even wanted. It's a power play, intentional or not. And it creates a dynamic where you feel like you're always performing, always chasing approval, always trying to prove yourself. You start bending over backward to impress her, trying to outdo her ex, trying to be someone you're not, just to earn basic validation, and the damage goes deeper than just frustration. You begin to internalize the comparison. You lose confidence. You start to believe that maybe she's right. Maybe you really are lacking, and the more you shrink, the more she controls, because now she's positioned herself as the one with higher value. And you're just the guy who's trying to catch up. That imbalance ruins the foundation of any relationship. Love can't grow where there's emotional hierarchy based on disrespect. You're not supposed to compete for affection. You're not supposed to be in constant silent battles with men you've never even met. You're supposed to be accepted as you are, improved by love, not belittled by it. When a woman values you, she uplifts you. She celebrates what makes you unique. She brings out your strengths, not your insecurities. But a woman who compares you to other men is trying to keep you in a state of emotional confusion. So you stay dependent, so you stay small, so you never realize that you deserve far better than someone who plays mind games instead of building trust. Your gut already knows, that feeling in the pit of your stomach that something is off, that quiet, nagging voice in the back of your mind that whispers, "This isn't right." It's not paranoia. It's your intuition trying to protect you. But the problem is, most men are taught to ignore it. We're conditioned to be rational, logical, to brush off our emotional signals as weakness or overthinking. But the truth is, your gut is your most ancient, primal alarm system. It's built from every past experience, every subtle cue, every unconscious piece of day. Your brain picks up on that your conscious mind hasn't even processed yet. When you feel tense around her, when your body doesn't fully relax in her presence, when something always feels incomplete, uncertain, or just wrong, pay attention. That's not anxiety, that's awareness. You might find yourself constantly second, guessing how she feels about you. You reread conversations, try to decode her tone, wonder if she's mad, bored, distant. You try harder, you give more. You do everything you can to make things smoother, lighter, easier. But no matter how much effort you put in, the uneasiness remains. The emotional inconsistency becomes normal. Moments of closeness followed by emotional coldness, tenderness followed by silence, connection followed by detachment. And instead of confronting this emotional roller coaster, you start gaslighting yourself. You tell yourself you're overreacting. You convince yourself she's just tired, stressed, or busy. You find logical explanations for behavior that deep down you know is rooted in emotional disinterest or manipulation. And every time you ignore your intuition, you chip away at your own self-trust. Your gut doesn't communicate in words. It speaks in energy. It shows up as restlessness, as tension in your chest, as a tight jaw, as an uneasy feeling when you're waiting for her reply that never comes. It shows up when you're sitting across from her, and even though she's smiling, you feel distant, like something's missing. It's there when she says, "I love you," but it feels empty, forced, or like a performance. You might not be able to explain it logically, but your body knows, your energy knows, your soul knows. And the reason this is so powerful is because the gut doesn't lie. The mind can be tricked, the heart can be manipulated, but the gut knows the truth before the truth has words. But instead of trusting that feeling, most men ignore it because they're emotionally invested. You don't want to walk away. You don't want to accept that the woman you care about might not truly care about you in return. You hold on to hope, to potential, to the memory of the early days when things felt good. You focus on the highs and ignore the lows. You give her the benefit of the doubt even when the doubt is eating you alive. But here's the hard truth. Your gut is always trying to wake you up. Every time you feel drained after seeing her, every time you feel anxious when she doesn't text back, Every time you feel like you're chasing something that should be mutual, that's your inner self trying to break through the noise and say, this is not love, this is survival. You begin to feel like you're walking on eggshells. You censor yourself. You avoid conflict. You don't speak your mind because you're afraid it might push her away. And in doing so, you become a version of yourself that isn't whole. You abandon your truth for her approval. And yet, even as you're shrinking, sacrificing, and compromising, she doesn't meet you halfway. She doesn't feel the need to, because the dynamic is now imbalanced. She holds the emotional leverage. She knows you're afraid to lose her, and your gut screams louder. It starts showing up in your sleep, in your dreams, in your health. You feel mentally exhausted, emotionally drained, spiritually numb. Not because you're broken, but because you're out of alignment. You're living in a way that goes against what your inner self already knows. That quiet discomfort you keep pushing down is the clearest signal you'll ever get. It doesn't matter if your friends say she's amazing. It doesn't matter if she's beautiful, intelligent, or charming on the surface. If your gut keeps warning you, if something deep inside tells you that she doesn't see you, respect you, or genuinely value you, you have to stop silencing that voice. Because the longer you ignore it, the more damage you do to yourself. You start to forget what certainty feels like. You lose sight of what peace feels like. You become addicted to the chaos, thinking it's passion. But it's not passion, it's pain disguised as love, and your gut, the most honest part of you, has known this from the start. She belittles your dreams and downplays your achievements, and this might not happen in obvious ways. It's rarely the kind of mockery you can point to in one conversation. It's the slow, subtle erosion of your self-worth over time. It starts with sarcasm, jokes that cut too deep, comments like, "That's cute," or "Let's be realistic," when you talk about your goals. She might act like she's just being honest, like she's keeping you grounded, but what she's really doing is planting seeds of doubt. Doubt in your capabilities, in your ideas, in your potential as a man. Over time, those seeds take root. You begin to question yourself not because you've failed, but because someone you care about consistently responds to your ambition with cynicism instead of support. And what makes this behavior dangerous is that it's disguised as feedback. She'll say things like, "I'm just trying to help," or "I don't want to see you get hurt," when in reality, she's projecting her own limitations onto you. She doesn't believe in your vision, not because your vision is flawed, but because she can't see herself aligning with a man who's growing. Because if you elevate, if you rise, if you become the man you're meant to be, she knows she won't be able to control you. She knows she'll lose her emotional leverage, and that scares her. So instead of rising with you, she tries to keep you small. She masks her fear as concern. She frames her negativity as realism. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing her voice more than your own. You'll begin to second guess your ideas. You'll shrink your aspirations to fit the box she's defined as acceptable. You'll stop sharing your wins because every time you do, she finds a way to dim the light. She shifts the conversation, minimizes your effort, or even subtly changes the subject. You walk away from conversations with her feeling smaller, not stronger, and that's the exact opposite of what a real connection should do. A woman who values you will reflect your light back to you. She'll push you to dream bigger, to do better, to go further. She'll celebrate your wins like they're her own. But a woman who doesn't value you will feel threatened by your evolution. Your growth will make her uncomfortable because deep down she fears being left behind. Not because you will, but because she knows she's not contributing to your rise. And when she sees you making moves without her approval, she'll turn to manipulation. She'll guilt-trip you for focusing on your goals. She'll say things like, "You're so busy with your work. You never make time for me." Or, "You've changed," as if growth is a betrayal. But that's the trap. She wants you to choose her comfort over your calling, and the moment you start doing that, when you start trading your ambition for her affection, you begin abandoning yourself, slowly, quietly, painfully. You stop showing up for your own life. You start dimming your fire so she won't feel insecure standing in your light. And maybe it feels like you're keeping the peace, but the cost is your identity. You become a man who no longer believes in himself unless she allows it. And here's the twist. She may not even be conscious of what she's doing. Some women belittle their man not out of hatred, but out of fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being left behind, fear of no longer being needed. But intention doesn't erase the impact. Whether she's aware of it or not, her words are cutting into the foundation of who you are. And if you stay in that dynamic long enough, you'll look in the mirror one day and barely recognize the man staring back. Not because you failed, not because you weren't capable, but because you let someone convince you that your light was too bright, that your dreams were too big, that your purpose was a problem. But the truth is, your dreams are valid. Your ambition isn't arrogance. Your purpose isn't an inconvenience. You were born to build something meaningful, to leave a legacy, to rise into the fullest version of yourself. And any woman who genuinely values you will want to be a part of that journey, not a barrier to it. She'll want to build with you, not belittle you. She'll understand that your wins are her wins, that when you grow, you create space for both of you to thrive. But when she mocks your goals, minimizes your achievements, or constantly makes you feel like you're asking for too much from life, that's not love. That's fear in disguise. And love should never shrink you. It should set you free. She never initiates conversations, plans, intimacy, affection. It's always on you. You're the one constantly reaching out, always texting first, always calling, always asking to meet, always trying to keep the connection alive. And in the beginning, you might rationalize it. You tell yourself she's shy. You convince yourself she's just busy. You assume maybe she's not good at expressing her feelings. But as time goes on, a painful truth starts to reveal itself. She simply doesn't care enough to put in the effort. Because when someone values you, they make you feel wanted. They initiate, they show interest. They meet you halfway, and often they go beyond that. But when a woman doesn't value you, she lets you carry the full weight of the connection, because in her eyes, it's not worth her energy. You start noticing the imbalance in everything. You send long, thoughtful messages. She replies with one-liners. You plan dates, check in on her, make time. She shows up late, distracted, unengaged. You try to have deep conversations. She gives surface-level responses or changes the topic. And the pattern continues until you're exhausted, because you're constantly pouring into a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you give, it's never enough to sustain the connection, because she's not adding anything to it. It's a one-way street, and in that dynamic, you stop being a man with value. You become a man trying to earn value. You find yourself working harder and harder to be seen, to be chosen, to be appreciated. And the more effort you give, the less she respects you. What makes this dynamic even more painful is the hope it teases you with. Occasionally, she throws you just enough affection to keep you hooked. A compliment here, a spontaneous call there, a flirtatious text that lights you up, followed by days of silence. These crumbs of attention make you think she cares, but she doesn't. It's not connection. It's control. She gives just enough to keep you emotionally invested. just enough to make you believe there's potential, while never actually committing to anything deeper. She doesn't invest her time, her vulnerability, or her emotional presence. She keeps you in limbo, close enough to use, distant enough to never truly choose, and deep down this starts to eat away at your self-worth. You begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? You blame yourself. You think if you were just more attractive, more successful, more interesting, maybe she'd care more. Maybe she'd finally start initiating. But the truth is, it's not about your worth. It's about her lack of investment. She doesn't prioritize you because she doesn't see your presence as valuable. And that realization is brutal, because it means the relationship isn't rooted in mutual care. It's built on your effort alone. And that's not love, that's labor, emotional labor that you're doing solo while she stands on the sidelines, indifferent. This lack of initiation also reveals itself in emotional intimacy. She doesn't ask about your day. She doesn't check in when you go quiet. She doesn't notice when something's off. She's emotionally unavailable, not because she's incapable of feeling, but because she doesn't feel it for you. And when you try to bring this up, when you express how unseen or unappreciated you feel, she might deflect, dismiss, or even turn it around on you. You're too sensitive. Why are you making a big deal out of nothing? She invalidates your emotional needs, reinforcing the idea that wanting basic reciprocation is unreasonable. But it's not. It's normal to want someone who wants you back. It's healthy to desire effort, attention, care. And when a woman never initiates, it's not just laziness. It's a reflection of how little you mean to her in the grand scheme of her life. If you stopped texting, stopped calling, stopped reaching out, she wouldn't chase you. She might not even notice, or worse, she'd replace you without hesitation because your presence was never deeply valued. It was simply convenient, and that realization can shatter the illusion you've been holding on to. That if you just did more, loved harder, gave more, she'd finally show up. But she won't, because she doesn't want to. And that's where your power lies, in recognizing the difference between being wanted and being tolerated. When a woman never initiates, she's telling you without words, I don't feel what you feel. I don't care the way you care. And your role isn't to change her mind, it's to listen. To stop fighting for someone who wouldn't lift a finger for you. To reclaim the energy you've been wasting on someone who never saw your worth to begin with. So if you find yourself always being the one who initiates, always carrying the weight of the relationship while she offers little more than silence or convenience, it's time to stop chasing and start reflecting. Love doesn't demand constant pursuit. It flows in both directions. A woman who values you will not leave you wondering where you stand. She will show up without being asked, because real connection doesn't need to be begged for. It's felt, it's mutual, and when it's not, the bravest thing you can do is walk away, not to punish her, but to honor yourself, because the right woman won't make you question your worth. She'll recognize it and meet you with the same energy, effort, and intention you've been giving all along.